Hey everybody, welcome back to my stream. Thanks for joining me. This is pretty much take 2 of tonight's stream. If you were here just a little bit earlier, I had to restart. I had some technical difficulties and I had to restart. So here we are. Again, this is pretty much take 2 of this evening's stream. And what we're doing today is kind of going back to the kits that I've recently built. I usually do this. Last time I had a recap, I kind of brought out a few of the cars I've recently built and a couple that I've never shown anybody. The TT02B Supra, and then I brought out the D4 and the D5, and I think there was another 1 or 2 cars that I brought out. So today we're going to do the same thing. I have 5 cars lined up, and I'm going to showcase them in the order that I built them. Either in terms of videos like this one, or live on stream on either YouTube or Twitch, which I am streaming right now on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for checking out my video. I will be streaming hopefully on both platforms very shortly. All I need to do is invest in a little bit of software. All right, so let's get started on this. So this is the Tamiya M-06 Lotus Europa Special. This is a 1/10 scale rear-wheel drive touring car kit, and it's a M chassis, so I believe the wheelbase for this is 225. Let me see. Let me double check. Tamiya wheelbase. Yep, I was right. The wheelbase for this is 225. Which is the medium size, I believe, of the M chassis. I think you can go smaller and larger. So this is this car happens just to be 225 for this body. So as you can see, the box art, the kind of standard paint job was just all white, and there was a lot of pinstripes decals, and they're really cool decals. The way the car looks on the box looks pretty cool. I just wanted something a little bit different. Sometimes I do. A lot of times I just want it to look just like the box, but this time for this car I wanted to make it look a little bit different. And I googled this car online and I found a real 1-to-1 version that looks like this. Had the red, gold, and white paint scheme in this kind of design. I sent this out to a painter to paint it. Usually a very reliable painter does a great job. I think he was in a rush when he painted this one. It's a little bit messy, so I wasn't too happy about the way he painted this, and it took a long time. And he made a mistake of painting the headlights. So all in all, somewhere down the line, I'll probably retire this body and just put it away, and then get a M chassis body, put that onto this chassis, probably get new wheels, and then just have a different car. I wouldn't drive the car with this body anyway. I think it's just a little bit too... It's not my style. I like the GT car styles, bodies. Probably noticed that if you watch my channel. So the body, I can't tell you how hard or difficult it was to... easy or difficult to build, because I didn't build it myself. There are light buckets, so you can hook up an LED kit, both front and rear, which is pretty cool. This was back in March, and I was still pretty busy at work, and I kind of let him do it for me, and I kind of wish I didn't. But anyway, so let's look at the chassis. It's a quite interesting design. So I have a M-05 chassis car. And I have to say the M-06 is nothing like the M-05. Just the layout itself, it's pretty much completely different. The M-05 is a monocoque chassis. It's just one big block from front to rear, and everything is just bolted onto it. Where this is the tub chassis, and everything kind of goes on top and attaches to the front and rear. Yeah, it was an interesting build. This was about 3.5 months ago, but I like the layout. I like how everything comes together. All Tamiya kits do well. I wasn't crazy about these. Are these? I don't remember if they were oil filled. Oops, I have this one upside down. Why did I put this one upside down? That's odd. What was I thinking? So I can fix that right now. So I'll just keep talking. And, oh, actually, I can tell if these are oil filled or not. I don't remember when I have these off. I haven't driven it, obviously, and I'm sure that any M chassis with this short wheelbase, it's gonna be fun to drive. It's gonna hug the corners. I'm going to just keep this brushed for the foreseeable future. Okay, so something came off. Oh, okay, this came off. I don't really want to go brushless with this. I would have to probably invest in some other things. Let's see. Is this? It does look like it's. I think these are just the friction. There's no oil in here, so that's a shame. I know that's a hop up. The CVAs is a hop up for this, so that would be something to look into if you want to get this kit. And the electronics tray is big enough for pretty much anything you want to put on there, unless you have a very big receiver. This would easily hold a brushless receiver, a brushless ESC. So if that's something you are interested in doing, I think it is completely doable for this chassis. I have to line this up. I wasn't expecting to use any tools for this stream. I hope I built the other cars correctly. I had no preparation to do any kind of wrenching tonight, but here I am. Oh, that fell off too. There was one in the back of this. So I'll just keep talking. So the way this, well, what I put on here is, this was the first kit from Tamiya that came with the 1060 instead of the TBLE O2S, which is, have been the bread and butter for a very long time for Tamiya. I started hoarding those ESCs, the last few kits I built because, I found out they are switching ESCs and they're going to become more and more rare. So I started just collecting them and not using them. Maybe I need to turn this upside down and not let it spin. Now I can see it better. Not sure if that's going to help, but let's try it. Anyway, so I have the I used the 1060 that came with the kit, obviously. And so now I don't have to worry about using a LiPo or anything like that. I can just use LiPo without having any concern about low voltage alerts, cutoffs, and alerts. I don't need to put any other special hardware in here. I have a ESC that can use LiPo. So this was obviously a racing platform, intended to be a racing platform. There's even a transponder bridge right here. So that's supposed to hold the old style transponder. I wouldn't need this anymore, obviously. The My Lap ones are super tiny, and I can just pretty much tape it anywhere. I would probably tape it up here, as a matter of fact. So for this, I have a low-profile SPT 12 kg low-profile servo, and I use the servo saver that came with the kit. I sometimes change these things out, but for this kit, I think I just built everything according to the manual. I'm not crazy about this angle though, the angle of this steering link. I don't know if it's correct or I built something wrong, but it looks kind of weird to me. I don't like that angle. I feel like it should, you know, of course, be a lot more straight, but that might be restricting the battery. Maybe that's the reason why it's such a steep angle. I have no idea. Something I should probably look into. So, funny thing, when I built this car, I used the Sanwa MX6 transmitter receiver, and it was going to be fine. But in the last few months, I've been selling off several of my cars. Along with them, a couple MX6 transmitters. And I know I have 3, but I can't find the third one. So I'm not even sure I can drive this car at this point. I would need to find that MX6 or buy a new one or swap this out. Neither, I don't want to buy a new one, nor do I want to swap this out. I just want to find the MX6 I have somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere around here. And then I'd like to put this on the track at least once, but not with this body. I want to put just a regular, maybe a hatchback, M chassis body on this. This is, I'm not crazy about this body to begin with. And the way the paint came out, it kind of definitely not my favorite body. So I would definitely look for a hatchback. I would probably have to find another set of body posts for that. Funny thing, I just trimmed these. Literally right before the video started. I probably shouldn't have trimmed them. All right. So this tub chassis was good for this car, good for this ESC because there's no switch mount anywhere on the body, on the chassis for the ESC. So for 3 of the other cars I'm going to show tonight, 1, 2, 3, there is a mount somewhere on the car. One of the cars is behind the rear damper stay shock tower, and then the other 2, I believe, are on the bottom of the chassis. Imagine that the hole on the bottom of the chassis is just left open because you don't have a switch there. Just imagine that. So that's one of the drawbacks of getting the 1060 with your kit. If it happens to be one of the older style kits with the mounted switches, you're gonna have, it's just not gonna look right. On a TT02, on this, it doesn't really matter. You can tape the switch anywhere and it'll look fine. Excuse me. So it's a bummer that it came with just regular friction dampers. I think the rear spring is a little bit stiffer than the front. I think that was stock. This came with the kit. But you can see it's just a neat package. Everything kind of just fits in here. The motor's all the way in the back, literally all the way in the back. It can't get any farther back than this. This is the last thing on the car, and I don't know how it drives. It's going to be rear biased, but since it's a rear wheel drive car, it should be to its advantage. The M-05 has a lateral battery, and I believe the motor was actually right here, kind of like mid-motor, where this is rear motor. So the two cars completely different. Like I mentioned, this is a tub chassis. M-05 is a monocoque chassis. So I'd be interested in driving both of them on a track and see how they drive. That would be something interesting. This battery is right in the middle, so I imagine this car will be pretty balanced. Be interesting to drive. I kind of want to drive this. So let's talk about the kit itself. Excuse me. I want to say that this kit, in terms of difficulty, I'm trying to think back. I don't think this was a very difficult kit to build. I think it came together just fine. I remember having a little trouble with all of these screws on the gearbox. I think some of them, I think it was this car. Maybe it's not this car. The manual wasn't super clear about some of these screws and which one is which. And I think that was the only thing I had trouble with on this chassis. Everything else kind of works. There is a receiver box in here, but I didn't use it. My receiver's too big. You have to remember, a lot of these cars, everything was made for Tamiya electronics. And I think the Tamiya receiver is very, very thin. So this car does have, the upper arms are they turnbuckles? I don't remember. They are not, but they're certainly adjustable. So you can put a little bit of camber on this, on the front and the rear. Yeah, and the rear if you wanted to. It'll be a little bit difficult to adjust, but you can certainly change out those rods with turnbuckles, and then you'll be able to make adjustments. That's probably a hop-up part. So yeah, this was a pretty easy kit to build. The body was a different story. Especially if I painted it white and put on the decals, I think on a scale to 1 through 10, the body would have probably been a 7 or 8. Let's just say 7.5. And the kit itself is probably just a 6. 10 would be like a 8 scale nitro, and 1 would be, something you buy at Disneyland. I would say this is on par with like a TT02, and a little bit harder than like a Grasshopper, if that makes sense. All right, so this is the Tamiya M-06 Lotus Europa Special kit. So let me put this away and bring in the next car. Okay, so the next kit I built, I don't think it's going to fit on the turntable. No, it's not. So let me take away the turntable. The next kit I built was the DT03 Neo Fighter Buggy. This is a pretty big buggy, I just realized. Let me bring this card back and just compare the length of these two cars. So this is quite a bit longer. I mean, the wheelbase is just, yeah, probably like 30 millimeters longer than the M chassis. So this I built after the Europa. This was my first kit that I built live on stream. And actually, this is a very, very good kit. This is like leaps and bounds better than a Grasshopper 2, you know, and that kind of buggy. This is a rear-wheel drive buggy. It's not four-wheel drive. It's going to be very interesting to put on a track or even on a dirt and just drive around. I'm really curious how it's going to drive. It's very good looking, as you can see. This very simple paint scheme, which I was able to pull off painting pretty easily. So I'm really happy about that. The paint, you know, it's a small body to begin with, and there's only 2 colors, and the color is a straight line. So this was a very fun, and I don't want to say easy, but I think this is very, very beginner friendly. How about that? I'll just say this is a very beginner friendly kit. So if you are looking for a off-road car and you wanted to go the Tamiya route, I think you can skip the Grasshoppers, the Hornet, things like that, the kind of older generation buggies, and just go to the DT03. The next car is going to be a DT02, and I'll show you the difference. Again, this one is kind of backwards from the M chassis. The M chassis, it went from a monocoque on the 5 to a tub chassis on the 6. This is the DT03, and this one is the monocoque body chassis. So there's 2 pins. There's one here and one here. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Maybe not. Okay, there we go. So this is what a monocoque body looks like. It's literally just one piece. It's like a boat. It's from beginning all the way to the end. It's 2 pieces, obviously. It's sandwiched together. But everything is like built into the chassis itself. So this is very simple layout, very elegant. I'm not crazy about the battery holder kind of arrangement. It's a little bit awkward. That's pretty much my only kind of critique for this car is pretty much that. I'm not crazy about where the battery sits and how it sits. Again, these are just the friction dampers. I don't have the CVAs for this. I might buy the CVAs. If I like the way this thing drives and I'm going to keep it, I may just go ahead and buy the oil-filled dampers. I already have a hop-up part for this car. Let me see if I can grab it. And I kind of bought this kind of because I like this is a hop up that I always like to have on pretty much any car, and that's the anti-roll stabilizer bars, sway bars. So I bought this kind of at the same time I bought the kit, and the reason why I didn't put it in when I was building it is because this doesn't come with the car. This is a hop-up option. I'll probably make another video where I put this on, so that's different. So there's a good chance I'm going to keep this car, as opposed to some of the ones I'm going to show you later on that I'm likely not going to keep. I'm going to put them up for sale. So, again, this is the DT03 monocoque chassis. The ESC sits up high, receiver right in front of it, so there's plenty of room, plenty of clearance on the ESC. Well, I'm not going to say plenty. Enough for even as tall as the TBL2, TBLE02S. Again, this is a rear-mounted. Pretty much all the buggies are rear-mounted motors. So the gearbox is kind of right here. It's pretty much a very conventional two-wheel drive buggy in terms of its layout. Let's see. Certainly you can upgrade a lot of these components. It has plastic dog bones right now. You can either, switch to metal ones, or you can go with the CVAs. I mean the universals for that, and I think that would really help this car. And I just like the way this car came together. It was just super easy to build, and it just kind of feels like it's high quality. I think that's kind of what my impression of this. I forget what brand servo I have on here, but I believe it's a 12 kg low profile servo. You notice it's a theme here. I like using low profile servos. Why not save on space and weight if you can? So it came with these very aggressive spike tires in the rear. Did I glue them? I think I did. I don't feel any foam inside, so I don't think there was any foam in there. And just the rib tires in front. I like these wheels. They're pretty cool. These 5-spoke, kind of old school wheels. Everything about this car, it just looks like it's just well thought out, well put together. And this is one of the best Tamiya kits I've ever built, and that says a lot. I've built a lot of Tamiya kits. So this is probably like top 3 kits that I would like to build. So yeah, if you're looking for a Tamiya off-road kit to either, if it's your first kit, or you're expert, I think you would still enjoy building this RC car. Let's see, and I can't really compare this to the TT02B because obviously that's 4-wheel drive, and this is 2-wheel drive. I think the only thing I can kind of compare it to is the Subaru Brat and the Frog. Both of those are 2 rear-wheel drive. So probably the closest would be the Frog, which is the ORV chassis, I believe. That is more of a skeleton chassis. Again, different from the monocoque and different from the tub. So it'd be interesting to kind of compare the two side by side. I just have to rebuild the Frog. I got a used one and it's very, very dirty. I have to get around to cleaning it. But I think compare this to the Frog Subaru Brat, I think this is going to be better. This is just a nice kit. I just really enjoy that. I can't say enough nice things about this car. And it wasn't very expensive. Let me see how much it is. So it sells for $136 on Horizon. Pretty much everybody's selling at that same price. A-Main, unless if you buy it on A-Main, you may be able to use the coupons to make it $10 off. If you buy a few more things with the electronics, you might be able to save $20. You know, that's the good thing about A-Main. They have coupons every month, and Tamiya is never restricted. Who knows? Let's see. What else can I say about this? So to put this together with I believe it came with the ESC. And let me show you the switch. And it came with the motor, obviously. So all you need is the receiver, the transmitter receiver, and the battery, of course. So I was saying the switch, I gotta take the body off again. I forgot to show you this. So where the last car, where I can just pretty much tape the switch anywhere I wanted, this has a kind of chassis mounted switch layout. And actually I need to take off the wing, not the body. It's right under there. Let me use a screwdriver here. That's the switch right there. And imagine if it is not, there's two screws on each side. This is, connected to the Tamiya ESC, of course, and it's just right behind the ESC. But imagine not putting this switch here and going with a, like the 1060 or whatnot. You would have to maybe tape it right here. It just won't be as clean as having it mount to the, I think that's the damper stay, I think. Yeah, it's a damper stay. So it's first time I've seen this switch. It reminds me a little bit of the Frog, which was kind of on top right here, I think. But this is a pretty cool spot for a on-off switch, I think. Yeah, really cool. All right. So if you guys have any questions, comments, please feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to answer them either live right now or in the comment section in YouTube. I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. Oh, brother. Always difficult to do these things at weird angles. And I'm at a weird angle because of the camera tripod. I can't be right in front of it, very close to the table. I'm kind of off to the side, about a foot away from the edge of the table, so I gotta reach in. All right, okay, let's put that one away. Running out of room here. All right, let's bring in the next car. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure I built this one after the Neo Fighter. So, good comparison is this guy right here. Does it fit? Let me see if this fits. Nope. It's too big. So this is the Holiday Buggy. This is, again, a rear-wheel drive kind of buggy layout. And this is built on the DT02 chassis, where the Neo Fighter is a Lexan polycarbonate body. This is a plastic body. And the cool thing is the instruction literally says don't paint this. Just keep it in this color blue. You have to paint other things. So that was kind of what attracted me to this. You know, you don't have to paint this body because I don't like painting the polycarbonate bodies all that much. And I definitely don't like painting plastic bodies. But I've seen some really creative paint jobs for this car because it's such a unique shape. And I've seen orange ones. I've seen just lots of cool looking paint scheme for this car. And I am just not that talented. I just built it to exactly what the manual said for this car. I even painted the lights by hand. I had to buy the color paints to paint everything by hand, so it looked just right. And it looks great, even though I kind of messed up on the interior here. I'm not good at painting, you know, flesh colors, things. Does anything with the brush, I'm just terrible at. The reason why these jerry cans look so good is because it was spray. And I didn't even paint the belt, the strap, brown because I know I'll screw it up. So this is going to be very similar to the Neo Fighter. It's an off-road buggy. Don't let the body fool you. What's underneath is pretty much just about the same in terms of what it offers. The layout is completely different, but it's a buggy nonetheless. So there's a clip here on top right there that you pull back. And it releases the body, and then you just pull it off. So, again, this chassis, you can see, is a tub chassis, just like the Europa that we just looked at before this. And the battery tray is right down the middle of the chassis, so it's very balanced. I think I had to rearrange the receiver and ESC because it just didn't reach, I think. The layout's kind of strange. So receivers here, switches here, and ESC supposed to be right there. I can't remember why. Oh, because I think the ESC wire wouldn't be able to go around all the way around. So that's why I put everything on the same side. But everything's good. This, I used a TBLE 04S that I had. I think this came with a, I'm pretty sure it came with the 1060, this kit. If it came with one, it was a 1060. I didn't get this too long ago, so I'm pretty sure it's already switched to the hobby wing, but I'll double check. I would have to go back to the unboxing videos to tell you. But if you notice, this is a tub chassis as opposed to the monocoque chassis. So that's a huge difference from the two. And this is obviously kind of the older style. Tub chassis go back a long way. But it looks like this has a lot more clearance. Or maybe just my imagination. So this is a tub chassis, like I said. I think it's going to be, you know, pretty balanced to drive. Again, it has the friction dampers, not oil filled. The front and the rear dampers are pretty long, which is kind of interesting. So, and it's very stiff for some reason. I wonder if I built this correctly. Oh, I remember why. So there is a, the dampening is done with a rubber tube inside the damper body there, hugging the shaft. So it's using the friction from that rubber tube to slow down the, it's basically to do the dampening. The spring is pretty stiff. So yeah, I think this is going to be interesting. I always think of this as more of a beach buggy, but I don't think it's going to do all that well on the beach. I don't think you would need kind of more of a paddle type wheel tire to drive on a beach on sand. But I'm sure this is going to be capable off-road on a dirt, kind of on a dirt field or on a dirt track or whatnot. I think you're going to have a lot of fun. This came with a 380 motor, which is kind of ridiculous. It can accommodate a 540. You can see my finger can. Let me turn this over. You can see my finger can fit in here. So it is big enough to fit a 540 motor. It may be something I can do later on as a kind of a hop-up video. Like I said, I just built it exactly according to the manual. You know what? I didn't give a rating in terms of difficulty for the Neo Fighter. So for the body, I would say, how did I grade it? It was the body is probably like a 3. You have to do a little bit of masking, and there are a few decals, but very minimum. I think I finished the decals on this in one night, where some of the other cars we're going to look at, I think this car took 2 nights or 3 nights to finish this, because I'd have to go back and look at the streams, but yeah, I think it took a little bit longer than the Neo Fighter. So again, the body on the Neo Fighter would be like a 3, and the chassis itself is also pretty easy. I think it's probably no harder than I would say it's a 5, because it's definitely easier than the M-06. M-06 was just a little bit over the average in terms of how difficult it was. So that was the 3 and a 5. So this, if I remember correctly, this wasn't that difficult to build. It's a very simple layout. I would say this is even simpler than the Neo Fighter. But I think the difficult parts were, I think this is the gearbox that gave me trouble with the screws. Yeah, I think this is the one. Yeah, so I would say this is also a 5 out of 10. It's, again, going to be a little bit easier than the M-06. But it's not that difficult. But if I was a beginner and I'm looking for my first kit, I would not pick this one. And the reason is the body. The body is, even though you don't have to paint it, it's kind of up there in terms of these decals. To kind of keep them straight, it's not that easy. And I think for somebody for a first kit, probably have a little bit of difficulty lining these up to make it fit in the way it's supposed to. And you'd also have to buy TS paint, and there's how many colors? 1, 2, 3. You have to buy this blue in Rattle Can. I recommend Rattle Can for the black, the flat black here, and on the interior. So that's 2. And you definitely want to spray the jerry cans. So that's 3 cans of paint that you have to buy, and then you'd have to buy the small bottle of the white and the yellow and the flesh. So, it's a little bit of an investment. And if I was going to build it exactly the way it is, I was supposed to buy a brown as well, but I just didn't bother. So this is a fun kit. The body, I'm going to say the body is closer to a 7. It's definitely a little bit more challenging than the polycarbonate bodies. I thought out of the box when I first saw this, I'm like, this is going to be super easy to build. And indeed it is, because there's not much there. But you have to paint a lot of stuff. And the decals, I'm pretty sure this took more than one night. I don't remember why though. I don't remember. But it was, yeah, so this is definitely a more challenging body. And I would not recommend this particular DTO2 kit for a first-time builder. There is another one that I'm going to be building soon. I have to go pick it up. It's already at the hobby shop waiting for me. I just have to go get it. And that is the DTO2 Nissan Titan. It's kind of a trophy truck layout kind of kit, and I think it looks really cool. I can't wait to build that. The chassis is going to be a piece of cake because it's just the same as this one. I think I lost one of the pins here. Let me see. Oh, there it is. All right, so this was the Tamiya DTO2 Holiday Buggy. So 7 on the body and 6 for the chassis. I'm sure this is going to be fun to drive. On the third, it's going to be fun to have, and it's definitely really a conversation piece. I can totally see a group of friends each buying one of these, painting it their own colors, and then hosting races with just this chassis. It's just so unique, so stylish, and there's just so much you can do with this to customize it. You know, you can change the figurine and stuff, change the paint job, put in LED lights. And look it up on Instagram. You're gonna see lots of different imaginative, very creative paint schemes for this. So this is, if I was gonna give it a coolness score, this would be like an 8 out of 10 in terms of coolness. But I that's subjective, so I'm not going to say that. All right, let's see what's next. All right, so next is the TTO2 1996, I believe, Subaru WRX Monte Carlo. I think it's a 99 Monte Carlo. The Porsche is the 96, I believe. And this is a TTO2, and I've built like 6 TTO2s already. So the kit itself, not a big deal, but I just love the way it came together. The livery, the color, the wheels, the tire tread, just everything about this body is just so attractive. I spent 3 nights doing the decals. I remember this because I just did it. These decals are a little bit challenging because there's quite a few of them. You start with these other ones first. You start with the window, and then you kind of go with the decoration ones like the grill and the headlights, and then you do the livery, the burns, kind of this fluorescent swoosh with the stars, the Subaru logo. It just looks so good. Like, I almost don't want to drive it. So again, this is a TTO2, kind of, you know, like a rally version of the TTO2. Rally variant. So I have built the standard TTO2, of course. I've built the RR. I've built the SR. Those are kind of the racing variants. I have the TTO2B, the buggy. I also have the TTO2T, the truck. I have the TTO2D, the drift car, and the Supra. And this is the Subaru. This is supposed to be the rally version. I also have the FT standing by. That's probably the kit I'm going to build at the end of the year. The FT is the track one, the one with the belt tracks, with no wheels, and it's a big truck. So that's going to be interesting. The funny thing about that kit is, it's not really funny. The interesting thing about that kit is the bearing kit itself is $80. So if you're like me and you must use ball bearings for the kits, you have to consider that the kit was already, I think, $300. And then you include the bearings, you're pretty much looking at a $450 type of kit. I right out of the bat, I want to put a 550 motor in there. I don't even want to try with I think it comes with a torque tune. I don't even want to try it. I want to just go straight to a 550 and kind of give that thing as much torque as possible. Those tracks can't be light. There's going to be a lot more gears going to the wheels, from the motor to the wheels. So I would find a way to go 550. The problem with the 550 is you probably have to use the receiver box, because otherwise the dirt would kind of wreak havoc. But then the drawback is there's not going to be much room for a 550. The TT02 layout is TT02 layout. It's going to be mid-motor. Motor is parallel to the orientation of the chassis, as opposed to the buggies where they were lateral. And in the rear, there's plenty of room. You can put a 550 easy on either one of the buggies that I just showed you. Even on the Europa, motor's all the way at the very end. It's wide open. You can just stick a longer motor in there. It doesn't matter, as long as you can screw it onto the motor plate. So if you have built a TT02 before, there's nothing special about this. The only difference is you would, compared to a touring car, you're pretty much just flipping over the uprights, so that instead of it being long on the bottom, short on top, you would flip it over where the long's on top and it's short on the bottom. Is that what I just said? And I think there was something else. Obviously the wheels are these very interesting. I don't even know what shape that, but it looks like an 8-bit shape. You can see that or not? It's kind of triangles, like arrowheads. This is pretty deep tread too. So I think these wheels will do fine on pavement, but I wouldn't drive it on pavement too much. It'll probably burn these out very quickly. I would just stay on dirt lots and dirt tracks, or something that's a little bit easier on these tires, and just try to make them last as long as they can. Yeah, so TT02 is a TT02. It's a workhorse. It's a standby. It's a go-to chassis. You don't have to really worry about this too much. I would definitely use the receiver box. This thing is going to get super dirty. The TT02 FT has a cover for the chassis, and I wonder if it'll fit on this, or actually any TT02. If it does, I might get that for this, because this is going to get dirty. For sure. Dusty, for sure. So it came with the torque tune motor, and this one came with, I think I got this earlier last year, so I think this came with the TBLE O2S. I don't remember. I have to go back and watch the unboxing video. I've had this kit probably the longest out of all the kits that I'm going to show you today, for sure. So I swapped that out. I used the Tamiya ESC on the Porsche that I'm going to show you in a minute here. And the reason is, again, the on-off switch is not anywhere. Actually, let me bring back the... I forgot to show you that. Let me bring back the holiday buggy. Remember I talked about where the on-off switch was? The on-off switch for the holiday buggy is down here at the bottom. And there's a rubber seal around it. Imagine not having that switch there and just a hole there underneath your chassis. And you're driving through dirt or whatever kind of pebbles kicking up. This is going to be a nightmare. Of course, you can tape this up from the outside, tape it up from the inside. You can, you know, glue something on to cover it, but it just won't look right. So this was a car that definitely need the TBL E02S. I hope Hobbywing and Tamiya kind of get together and make a special 1060 that has a Tamiya shape and size and dimension switch. That'd be super cool. Then you have the 1060 and then you can retain the same kind of features as the TBLE ESC. So again, this tub chassis doesn't have a switch mount. You can pretty much actually it does. It's right here on the motor shroud right there. And I think I had it on here, but as you notice, it's on this shroud. I used it to hold back the wires. It's great when the switch is here, but it doesn't have to. I can tape it to the side. This hole right here won't, you know, let dirt in or anything. It doesn't affect the aesthetics of the car at all. It's probably going to be easier to reach in here and toggle the switch. I'm probably going to have to kind of tape this up a little bit higher or even tape it to here because this is actually lower than the clearance at the bottom of the chassis. I just realized that. I think I have the same SPT low profile servo, and low profile servos on TT02s especially, it's so important. I mean, just look at the spacing. I know some TT02s you don't need to use the receiver box, but for this car especially, if you want any chance to be able to fit this in there, the low profile servo is going to give you kind of a head start on that. So I always like to use low profile servos, especially on the TT02. So I can't say enough nice things about this particular kit. Again, this is not super expensive. Let me see. Holiday buggy. Let's see. Holiday buggy is 100 and I think it's 120. Yeah, it's not expensive. Let's see, on Amazon's 119. So yeah, the holiday buggy is 119. And this is going to be right up there. Let's see. TT02 WRX. This one is 118, 119. So they're the same price. Which one would I buy? Kind of depends what you want to do with it. I mean, this car is off-road capable as well. So you can off-road and on-road, these tires, the clearance and everything. Maybe this is a little bit more versatile. I think the kind of layout and kind of the design is probably a little bit more modern than the holiday buggy. It'd be interesting to see the holiday buggy on a DT03 chassis. I'm not sure if it'll fit. But it'll be interesting. Maybe they'll do something like that, but with a, hopefully not with the plastic body. Hopefully just a polycarbonate body with the DT03 chassis. This kit is the very, very basic TT02, so it doesn't have any hop-ups. Again, is the friction dampers, plastic propeller shaft, basically plastic everything. The dog bones are plastic, I believe. Yeah, they look plastic. They're pretty thick, so I'm pretty sure they're plastic. I think even the drive cups are plastic. Yeah. Yep. So no frills about this car, but it looks great. So the chassis itself, for me, this is a 6 difficulty. It's more sophisticated than like the DT03. So maybe it's a 7. It's kind of right up there with the M-06 though. So I don't, you know, it might be, it's a 6 or a 7. It's not hard to build, because, you know, probably because I built so many of these already. The RR chassis and the SR is definitely more than 6. But this particular one, where everything is pretty straightforward, no frills, I think I'll just stick with the 6. The body, painting it wasn't difficult, it's just one color. Well, actually, you have to paint the spoiler. So I think the difficulty here would be the decals, though. This took me 3 nights, so it took 6 hours to, I streamed 2 hours a night. So it took me 6 hours to put on all the decals, and you wouldn't think it would. But these windows are not painted. These are decals all the way around, all 4 windows, all 4 sides of the car. And each of these are individual decals. The headlights and everything, it's all decals. So yeah, I would say the body would be right up there, like a 7.58. And after the video, after I publish it, I'm going to try to put whatever I rated these in the comments, in the description, so you can go back and see what I said, because I'm going to forget what I said. But it's just a good looking car. If you just put this on a shelf, it's gonna be this is definitely kind of another conversation piece, but just the how good it looks. The holiday buggy would be kind of how interesting a car it is. This would be just how good it looks, especially if you like Subaru's WRX. I think there's the newer version, the Impreza 20, what year is that? This is the Nuremberg. Yeah, the Nürburgring. Nürburgring. Yeah, the track in Germany. Or in Europe. I don't know where it is. The WRX STI 24-hour kit. That's also a TT02. That body looks awesome too. That body looks better than this one. That's a GT body though. This is a rally body. It's a little bit different. But $120, this is a great value. Comes with the ESC, comes with the motor. All you need is another receiver. So you're looking at maybe like $200 for everything to put this RC car together. Great value. TT02s, the basic ones, you can't go wrong. And for a basic one, this one looks really good. If you just bought like a passenger car, like the, I can't think of one, maybe the new Supra or the not the MX-5, because MX-5 is a M chassis, but you know what I'm talking about, the bodies that have no decals. It's kind of boring, but this, you know, right out of the box, it just looks cool. So yeah, this is a good buy. All right. So here is the last car, and let me get a sip of water. I've been going for about an hour. I started late because of technical difficulties. All right, and the last kit I built and the one I just finished is this right here. This has a short wheelbase. Let me see if it'll fit on the see if it'll fit on here. I hope it does, because this is a really cool car. Barely, let's see. It barely fits. So this is the TA03R-S chassis, and it's the 1996 Porsche 911 GT1 Street body. It's a lot to say. First time I saw this come out, I knew I wanted it. I remember that was 2020 or 2021. It might even be 2020 when it first came out. I knew I wanted it. It's just a super cool body. I've never built this chassis before, and it's just a good looking car. It's belt driven 4-wheel drive. This is an older chassis. This is not a brand new chassis by any means. But with the chassis and this body put together, I just could not resist. I just had to have it. Decals on this was not easy, by the way, especially some of these thinner ones. I didn't do a great job. Now, the only thing I didn't do, looking at this body, and you compare that to the box art or any photographs you see online, is I didn't paint the these lines. I have the paint, the very fine tip paint to do it with, but I haven't gotten around to it. So when I finished this kit and I looked at it, I was like, something doesn't look right. It just doesn't feel like it's the same as the one on the box. And then I remembered the body lines aren't painted yet. So we'll see. But I kind of hesitate to take on any difficult things like that. I don't want to screw it up and make the body look bad. I think it's water-based, and it's on the outside, so I'm sure I can wipe it off, whatever. But still, I just don't have that steady hand. I don't trust myself. But so the body was, because of the decals and everything, is a little bit difficult to build. But let's take a look at the insides. Take a look at the chassis. I use these super tiny pins because that's all I had. I think I can switch these out later. I mean, just look at this. Just look at this. I mean, it's just a gorgeous looking car. All right, so here is the chassis. And so, again, this is a belt-driven 4-wheel drive, and there's that belt right there. It's kind of, right down the center of the, well, it's off to one side, but it's kind of right in front of the middle of the chassis. I haven't driven it yet, so I can't tell you how well it drives or not. It's, again, this one is a lateral battery, so the weight left and right is going to be interesting. I don't know what else to say about this chassis. It's just different. It's a little bit strange. I think these are the oil-filled dampers. I think these are oil-filled. I remember one of these were oil-filled. Or two. I think the Europa might have also been oil-filled. Kind of looking back at it. I dropped a few pins. So it has a front diff and a rear diff. The servo is dead center. And I'm trying to remember. Oh, you know what I don't like about this chassis? Is this tub chassis is not the entire length of the car. It ends right here. So pretty much the rear from the motor back to the end here is bolted on to the tub chassis. So basically it's like, you know, it's two pieces. It's kind of like just clamped on. It's not like one piece. So I don't know how stiff this particular chassis is. I don't think I did any wire management for this car, so it looks kind of messy. If you look at here, excuse the dirty battery. These, I mean, look how many screws it takes to bolt this rear end, the motor part, onto this chassis. It took 5 down here, and it took how many? Looks like it's at least 1, 2, 3, I think. Yeah, so it takes a lot of screw, and then you have this carbon fiber kind of plate to tie everything together. So this isn't a terribly good, at least I don't like it. I don't like the chassis in terms of just this half tub chassis and then this thing bolts on. It reminds me of like the Traxxas 4-wheel drive, where it's, you know, both the front and back are kind of bolted onto the tub chassis. Literally the tub is just the middle, just the tub, and it's kind of strange. All right, let's see. So this is the ESC that I took out of the TT02, and that is because the switch is right here. Once again, the switch is on the bottom of the chassis. It doesn't have the rubber seal because this is an on-road car. They probably figured it not going to run into any dirt or sand. The 540 motor is in front of the axle. So technically this is mid-motor. It is lateral, not like the TT02. Is it the same as the Europa? No, the Europa is all the way at the back. Yeah, the Europa is all the way at the back. This, I think, reminds me a little bit of the M-05. But the M-05 is rear wheel drive. So this is pretty unique. I mean, it's belt-driven. It's mid-motor. Batteries lateral. So this is an interesting chassis. I don't know how well this drives. I haven't driven it yet. But this is also kind of I think this is also 225 millimeter. So this car and the Europa, the M-06, I would get hatchback bodies for them and use those instead. I don't want to put this, you know, beautiful, pristine body on a track and then run into, you know, the rail or anything like that. It just looks too good. I would get a couple sacrificial hatchback bodies, Tamiya, Biddy Design, whatever, to drive around the track with. And I usually do that with a lot of my kits. I just like the bodies too much. Let's see, what else can I say about this? I used one of the oldest receivers that I have. This is a generic DSM receiver that works with my DX3S, I think. I use another one. This is the same servo, I think. Yeah, same servo as the one that is in the last car. No, is it? Let me see. I think I'm trying to say the holiday buggy. It's the red one. And yeah, this ESC is supposed to be kind of facing this way, up and down into this slot right here. And the receiver's supposed to be here. I turned them around because it's just awkward. This is a really big ESC. If it was the TBLE 04S, I would probably be able to fit it in here. But, you know, with the wire management and everything, kind of the servo being there, I just swapped them. And it works out fine. It looks fine. I do need to do some wire management. I think I kind of forgot. I just wrapped up the kit. I forgot to, because I think I moved on to the body. All right, so review about this, kind of my score about this chassis and this body. So because of the belt, it's a little bit more sophisticated than a TT02. So this would definitely be a 7. You have to contend with the belt and the tensioning. There's just a few more things you have to kind of work with than the TT02. So this is definitely a 7. It's not super difficult, but it's just not as easy. Let's see. Everything is metal where it's supposed to be. The drive cups, the dog bones. This one has, they're not turnbuckles, but at least they can be adjustable. So you can, like I said, you can swap them out for turnbuckles if you want to have a little bit more control. Oh, those are steering links. The upper arms are not adjustable, so you can swap those out for turnbuckles for sure. Let's see, what else? This kit came with slick tires, so this really was meant to be driven on the track, which is pretty cool. And this bumper, I'm just not crazy about this chassis. It's not as cool as I thought it was going to be, let's put it that way. Like I said, I don't like the way the back connects to the tub chassis. That's one big thing. It's an exposed belt. There's a lot of things that can rub around it. The next kit I'm building is the XV01 Lancia Delta. That's also belt drive, but the belt drive's covered. There is a housing that goes from the front to the rear that covers the entire belt. And it reminds me of the Team Associated SC10 4x4. That also has that same kind of housing, front to rear. So this is the TA03R-S chassis. Gearbox and motor is in the middle in front of the rear axle. The only reason I would want to drive this is to compare it to the other two M chassis. This is considered a M chassis size, 225, I believe. It's a shorter wheelbase than the 257 standard touring car. It's cool, but it's just not. I think it's because it's an older chassis. I just don't like the way it comes together. I mean, just think about the weight of all those screws. How much weight you're adding to the car. Just because it's kind of this bolt-on layout. So again, the chassis would be a 7. The body itself is not difficult to put together, but the decals are kind of a pain. Especially these very thin ones. I remember having a lot of trouble with those. And if you do do the body lines, there'll be even added difficulty. So I would say this body would probably be like closer to an 8. I know that's pretty high for something that looks really simple. But if you put in the time to do the lines, I think it's definitely going to be an 8. It's going to be right up there with like a scale body on a crawler or even a drift car, if you want it to look like the box. But I like this too. But this is something I would sell this. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't have any trouble selling this. I would not sell the Subaru because I collect TT02s. would probably keep the I'll keep the Neo Fighter, but then the TTO2 and the Neo Fighters are the two I would keep. The other three, I would not have a problem selling them at all, not even a little bit. I would sell them in a heartbeat after I've driven them and made a video out of it. The value of kits for me is the content. That's why I, build them on stream or make videos out of it, so I can kind of document how to build a kit. And my motivation, I think I talked about this on stream one time, is if you are just starting in the hobby and you want to build your own car rather than getting a RTR, or you've already have a couple RTRs and you want to try building a kit, I want my channel to be that resource. I take the kind of most popular cars out there, the easiest ones to drive, to build, and document every single step. And I've done that with a TTO2 like 6 times already. So if you're building a TTO2, you can find pretty much all of them on my channel somewhere. Even the hard to get ones like the truck, the Sand Scorcher. That one I actually sourced from Japan. I didn't buy it here. And that one didn't, because it came from Japan, it didn't have the ESC. It came with the motor, that's it, which was a shame. So, yeah, I am not crazy about it. The decals were difficult. That's a little bit of a skill gap for me. Not so much to blame. The cutting these decals out was just a pain. Out of all the cars, I probably did the decals on this the worst. Yeah, I mean, hands down. The Europa doesn't have any decals, but hands down, this is probably the worst one that I did in the last 5 cars that I built. So yeah, this is the TA03R-S 1996 Porsche 911 GT1 Street. That's a lot to say. RC car from Tamiya. Yeah, this is fun to build. It's a nice kit, but I wouldn't recommend this one for anybody starting. I wouldn't recommend this kit at all, to be honest with you. Unless you really like the body, I would not buy this kit. I kind of wish I don't want to say I wish I didn't buy it, because I like building all kinds. But this would be definitely one I would sell in a heartbeat. I would not hesitate to sell this at all. It's just not, this is not my style. But it looks great. It looks really good. All right, seems like I've talked a lot already. So I've shown you the last 5 Tamiya RC car kits that I've built and what I think of each one of them. Overall, there's nothing wrong with any of them. It's just some are just better than the others. Like I said, the TTO2 Subaru looks great. That's probably, I would say that was my favorite because it's a TTO2 and the body looks so nice. So I would say that was my favorite. Second would definitely be the Neo Fighter. That would be that's also a keeper, obviously. So it has to be number 2. I like the chassis. I like the body. I just like the quality of the entire car. So that would be number 2. Surprisingly, number 3 is going to be the Holiday Buggy. I just see it as such a cool, fun car. Even though the chassis itself is not anything, it's not modern, it's not exciting, it's just an old school type chassis. I like that chassis more than this one, and that one is super simple. Yeah, it's just has this fun factor to it that I really like. But I don't like it more than the Neo Fighter for sure. The Neo Fighter, I can see myself keeping it and actually kind of put hop-ups on it. That's always the measure of how much I like a car, is how much I am willing to spend on hop-ups. And I've spent hundreds on a TT02. There's a video documenting that. It's a TT02RR. I spent way too much money trying to put hop-ups on that car. To no avail. But again, that's probably my own driving skill. And then after that, it would be this. This is not my favorite, obviously. It's not the worst car. I'd say, you know, it's four-wheel drive. It's interesting. The body is difficult, but it looks pretty cool. The Europa is my least favorite. The combination of the chassis being rear-wheel drive, that awkward servo link angle, just being so up, you know, such a steep slope on that link, and the body itself, you know, it's just kind of this awkward, you know, oldies kind of 70s style body, and you know, it's not fun. I think that's why it took me so long to finish it. Actually, it took me like, I stopped building it after the last video. I stopped right before the last video, and I still haven't put out the last video. The last video was the wheels and the body posts and the battery. And it took me 3 months from from the video before that to that video, and I still haven't put it out yet. It's been 3 months. I started that in March. It's already July 9th. I still haven't finished. I mean, I finished it now. But I just finished it. So it took 3 months to finish that because I just didn't like it. A little bit of my ADHD kicking in also, but yeah, it just didn't keep me interested. All right. So these are my 5 cars. Again, I'm going to be doing the XV01 next. After that, I have a few kits to go. I think the next 5 is going to be the T301 trike, the tricycle. It escapes me what the name of the kit is called right now, but it is the tricycle. I have that. I have an M-05 Flower Power. I probably won't build that one. I think that's going to be more of a collectible. And then I have the TT02 FT to build. And I need to go pick up the DT02 Titan. I'm looking forward to that. I loved short course trucks, so I'm really looking forward to that. Can't wait to build that. Even though it's a little bit more of a trophy truck body, I just like it. It's just cool. It's open wheel, I think. Yeah, so those 3 for sure. Definitely the trike after the XV01. Definitely the FT is definitely going to be last. So somewhere between the Titan and the FT, I need to find something in between those 2 cars. So if you have any suggestions, actually, you know what? If I can get my hands on the XV02, the new one, that'd be super cool. And another car that I have kind of on order is the CC, I think it's a CC02. The new Bronco, I think it's a CC02 chassis. I would love to build that. I like the new Bronco. I've been looking forward to that car for a couple years already since it was announced. I actually want to get the 1-to-1 for my next car if I can afford it. Everything is selling for a premium right now. I don't know if I want to pay that much, overpay so much for a car right now. Yeah, so that would be either one of those would be very interesting to build in between the Titan and the FT. I wouldn't even mind ending the year with the either one of those instead. If I can build the XV01, the T301 Trike, and then a DT02 Titan, and then if I can build either the CC02 Bronco or the XV02, I wouldn't mind building these 5 cars for you know, the next 6 months. If I build one a month, then I can fit in the TT02 FT. But I figured that the Freelander is going to take so long. It's going to take more than 2 weeks to build it. I think it's going to take probably closer to like 3 weeks. Because the tracks you have to build individually. You have to build them 4 times. So yeah, not looking forward to that. But it is pre-painted, so I don't have to worry about any paint. I just have to put decals on. So I got that going for me, which is nice. Yeah, so that's it for today's stream. I'm gonna cut it off a little bit short. I don't have much else planned. I can sit here and trim these, but that's not very exciting. So I think I'm gonna end here. I streamed for about an hour and a half. And showed you my 5 Tamiya car kits that I just finished. All right, so I'm looking forward to the next stream, starting the XV01 on Monday. And I might stream that over on YouTube. I haven't decided yet. Ideally, I would stream both on both platforms, but I don't know if I can do so in time. But we'll figure it out together. So thank you for watching this either on Twitch or on YouTube after the fact. Please, if you like what you're seeing, click that like button, follow, subscribe, turn on notification, the whole 9 yards. I appreciate it. Help me spread the word about my channel. All right, so again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good night.